Hello, welcome back to Crystal's Crafty DIY. In this video, I'll have 3 videos, patriotic flower videos and patriotic birdhouse videos. I hope you enjoy. I made 2 of them. So as you can see, I was starting off, I originally thought maybe I was going to use this wooden tree houses for a tier tray. So you'll see all the other stuff that I made kind of in some of these videos too. So I had an old flag that I had hung outside of my house, and I repurposed it and made it into a big statement piece inside my house. I did a video on that as well too, and I had some pieces left over. I don't waste anything. So obviously, as you can see, I'm spraying some water on the top roof of the birdhouse. It just helps spreads the Mod Podge a lot more better and spreads it around, especially too because this is like a really thick scrap piece of the American flag, because like I said, it's from outside, so you know they have to be like really durable for it to be outside and all that weather. So anyway, so I do the one side, as you see, with the red and white stripes, and then on this side I do with the navy and the white stars. And so I put Mod Podge on the house, and then I put Mod Podge over top of the actual scrap pieces as well too. And I gave this 2 coats, and then I let it sit overnight so it completely dried. Okay, so I let that completely dry overnight. And as you can see, I'm just trimming down the excess scrap pieces that I had on top of the roof, and I'm just taking my sander. I have a bigger one, as you can see there, and I have a smaller one so I can get in all to the nooks and crannies. Now this one is a complete flat one. The other wooden birdhouse, it has like 2 planks, so that one I had to go in I went in with both. But yeah, see, I went in on the edges, and I didn't want to, a lot of times, sometimes when I sand too, I like to scuff it up and even like not necessarily tear some things to make it kind of old fashioned. I do like that rustic look, but on this I didn't want to do that. I kind of just wanted to sand off the sides, the edges and stuff like that, and make it look a little bit more cleaner. And then on this one, like I said, because it has 2 slats, I did want to kind of do the same thing on the slats so you can kind of see that too as well. But besides that, I kept it like that. I didn't do anything else. And then I also added this in here because at first I wasn't planning on, like I said, I wasn't planning on putting the tree house on these, but I do eventually do that. So that's the reason why I wanted to add this in here. I did the same thing. I had a napkin. I took the white piece layer off the back of it, and then I put Mod Podge down, and then I placed the napkin over top of it, and I did Mod Podge on top of it, and then I let that completely dry overnight as well too. And then as you can see here, I'm just sanding the edges, and again, I didn't want to go in and do any sanding on top of it. I was just doing more for the edges to clean it all up. Now that I'm done sanding and everything like that, I had these 2 wooden candle holders. I believe I got these probably at Hobby Lobby. And so I took 2 of them, as you can see here, and I'm using wood glue, and I'm putting them together because I'm going to put one of these plaques on top of that and made one plaque higher and keep the other one down lower. So I just use wood glue, and then as you can see here, I'm taping it together to secure it until it completely dries. So as that's drying, I come in and I have my little stamp little things. You could take the tops off and you can obviously paint with them. They even have little sanders on them. They're great. I got from Amazon. I use these all the time. I didn't think I was going to use them as much as I do. I love it. So I'm pretty much just going in with brown paint, and I have to get into the nook and crannies. That's why I did get a brush just to get underneath the roof a little bit there. But besides that, I just do it like kind of like a dry brush. I'm not like painting it. I'm just going in and dry brushing between this little sponge thing I have and then the paintbrush. So while that's drying, I wanted to also show you, because at the time I wasn't going to use these. I was using these for something else. So I'm gluing using wood glue, and I'm gluing those candlesticks since now that they're dry, and I'm gluing them to the bottoms of these platforms. They are from the Dollar Tree. You can get them from the Dollar Tree, and the wooden candlesticks are from Hobby Lobby. And now I'm going back to the birdhouses, And I have these mini trees and back and forth to see if I wanted to use one or two. And I did like the one in the front. So I end up gluing on, I just use hot glue, and I just hot glue it. There's a little lift, like a little piece of wood in the front of the birdhouse. So just enough for me to be able to glue the mini tree there. And then I'm going back and forth, because of course I want to add mini flags to this. So I'm deciding if I want on the top, the front, on the side. So I at least go in for right now and do the mini tree, and I glue that in the front, just holding it down to it sets in. And if you ever see me lift up any of my projects up to the light, I'm just making sure there's any strings from the hot glue. I get a lot of them with the long glue sticks that I use for my big hot glue. My little one's not too bad, but the big one, for some reason, I get a lot of the strings. So I do it the same thing to the second one. I find a tree that it fits pretty well in the front of the wooden house, and I do the same thing. So I'm finishing up with some of my other tier tray decor I was making, and then that's how ideas popped. I'm like, oh, I could do this to the houses. So I stopped in the middle of doing whatever I was doing, and then I started doing the houses, because that's how DIY works. When you get an idea, you go for it. And that's what I'm doing here. So they were on little toothpicks. So I just took them off the toothpicks, and then I'm ripping them up a little bit because I wanted them to look a little bit older. And so I just add Mod Podge down, and then I add the paper flag down and put Mod Podge over top of it to secure it in there. So I do one on each side, and then I do one in the back. But the one in the back I do leave on the stick, and I just glue the stick down. And that's pretty much it. And I do the same thing to the other mini house as well. Okay, so now that all the flags were glued on, the little trees are glued on, and this is when I decide, oh, let me add the mini houses to this platform. So that's what you see I'm doing here. I'm adding wood glue to the bottom of each of birdhouses, and then I just glue it right to the wooden plaque that I already have at the bottom. I tape them up and let them sit overnight, and as you can see here, I'm taking the tape off just so everything stays together while it's trying to dry. And now I'm gonna add moss all over around the little birdhouse. It goes in, obviously you go in with more, and you can always trim it down and take off. So I just go little bit, put a little hot glue, add a little moss, and then I just continue around each birdhouse. So now I'm working on the second birdhouse, and I'm adding a little bit of hot glue, then I'm adding some moss. That pink little makeup thing that you see there, I actually got that at the Dollar Tree, and it's like a silicone. You can use it for makeup as well too, but they have some of them in the craft section at Dollar Tree as well, and it's great when it comes to using hot glue because it's silicone and it comes right off, which is really nice. Because there are some times where, like, even with me having that finger protector on my finger, that my finger might be a little too big to get into some little parts of my projects. So that's nice and flat, so I can like angle it and move it to where I need to, like maybe just hold it down for a minute until the glue sets. I use it for everything. It's great. It really helps. So that's pretty much it. Again, I'm looking up at the light, just make sure I have no hot glue strings, and I'm just trimming up around the birdhouse. It's like I wanted just enough to go around to make it a little homey, and then that was pretty much it. So I'm all done with the moss. You got to save every last bit of it. You'll see me do that a lot with a lot of my projects. So now I'm going in and I want to decorate it. So I have the blue tape there on the table. You kind of fold it over so it stays stick to the table. And then because I have these really tiny mini wooden stars. So as you can see here, I'm kind of grouping them into piles. So obviously I'm going to do red, white, and blue. And I originally was going to do white, but then I changed it up a little bit, so I do silver. And I'm using my stamp pads, and I'm using those little stamp dauber things that I have as well too. Because like I said, you can change the tops of them, and some can paint, some can do dry brushing, and then some even have like a little sander you can add to it as well too, which is pretty cool. So I'm going with the red, the silver, and the blue. And I just cover them. I don't do both sides because I'm going to glue them and you won't see the other side. So I just do the one side, and that's pretty much just it. Just red, silver, and blue. And I just do one coat. It doesn't need anything crazy. It was just enough. Now that I'm all done with the mini stars, and now I'm going to start gluing them on. So I just add glue on these mini trees, and I think I do maybe 2 to 3 each color. It all depends on how my pattern's going. Because some of these trees are kind of like taller and some are a little bit shorter. So that all comes into play as well too. I do the front, and I do kind of do the side, because the way I have the tree positioned in this little tree house, you can kind of see the side too. So I do add some, as you can see here. And I do go back in and do another set of mini wooden stars, because I needed a little bit more, because I ended up doing the side on this one. And I have one on the back as well. There's a tree on the back as well. But I just continue to do that for both trees. And it came out really cute. I like the way that came out. Now that I'm all done with doing the stars on the trees, I felt like I needed something else. So I was like, oh, well, let me do some stars around the circle part of these birdhouses. So I just did red, white, blue, well, technically silver, not white. And I kind of just go in a little pattern, and I just put a little bit of hot glue down, and then I placed the mini wooden stars around the little opening on each birdhouse. And then after that, that's pretty much it. That's all the kind of decorations that I really add to this piece, and I'm glad that I end up doing it this way and not necessarily just leaving the wooden birdhouse by itself. You know, I was originally just going to leave it by itself and put it on a tier tray, but I love the way this came out, and I was able to display it on top of my curio in my dining room. And here I'm showing you what it looks like all around it. It came out really cute. I was really proud on how this DIY came out. I'm going to show you how I made flowers out of these wooden discs. I got this bag of discs. I think they're 20 milli. I don't know if it's millimeter or inches. I can't read the bag, sorry. I actually got them at a hardware store, like Harbor Freight. They weren't that bad. You can even get them on Amazon as well too. So at first I wasn't sure if I was going to use these wooden flowers that I had as like the bottom, like the base, so I can hold everything together. And then I went back and forth. Like as you can see here, I have a couple circle items on the table, that clear container I have on the other side too. I have like all different shapes of pieces of wood. So as you can see here, I'm making the flower, and then what I'm doing is, because I do want to make it look like obviously like the American flag. So I want in the top left corner, I want it to be the stars, and then the rest to be the red, white, and blue. So I'm layering it, so that's what you see me writing down the Post-it note. So I know how many I need, like on the top and on the bottom, and vice versa for the blue part and with the white stars as well. So that's where I have the paper plates in. So I'm writing top and bottom. And so there's going to be a top for the blue with white stars, and then there'll be a bottom, and then there's going to be a top and a bottom red, white, and blue stripes as well. Okay, so now I have these flag napkins. Obviously I'm cutting them in squares, and then as you can see, I'm cutting out the blue part for the stars and then the stripes, and then I'm going to cut them down to size pretty much, as you can see here, so they can fit on each disc pretty much. And that's pretty much what I just continue to do here, just cutting down to the pieces so they can fit the disc, and then I'll Mod Podge them on. I'll put Mod Podge on the disc, and then I'll do it again once I put the napkin on as well. And also too, I did take the white part on the back of the tissue napkin, sorry, off as well, so it sticks, because if you don't do that, it won't stick. Now that I have the napkin all cut down to sizes, and now I'm going in plate by plate and just Mod Podging on the napkin to all the discs. It's just this little tedious stuff, but it's a lot. It's quick. It doesn't take that long. I do end up letting them sit overnight. I did have obviously other projects as well. I had drying overnight as well, but so I let it dry overnight just to be safe, and then I will come back in and sand them. And I am sorry, I did record me sanding them, but it was kind of out of frame. When I first started recording, I was still getting used to the angle of my camera. So I don't have me sanding it, but it's just simple. I mean, I just take a little sander and I'm just going around the edges, and it basically cuts off the excess napkin that's around the disc. Okay, now that I'm all done Mod Podging the napkins on the disc and they dried, I sand them. Now I'm going in to put them together. Now I had these clear like ornaments. A lot of times you use these plexiglass, I guess you would call it, like ornaments. A lot of times people use them for Christmas and stuff. So I had a couple left over, and I was thinking about using them as the center to like use it so I had a circle to glue the disc around, obviously to make it into a flower. Just to make it a little bit more sturdy as well too. So right now I'm just organizing everything, making sure I have basically 4 plates to each flower. I made 4 of them. So I just start making my flowers, putting pieces all the way around so I have an idea the way it should look. My first one I did mess up. My problem is I pushed the disc more on than like it should have been more the tip of the disc on the bottom portion of this flower. That was where I messed up at. Yeah, you see, I pushed them in too close. As I kept going around, I was pushing them in, and see, now I don't have enough room for the stars. And I really wanted to at least have 3 stars. So I did mess up. And obviously that's how you figure it out. So I just go with it. I at least put it together. And then from then on, I figured out like what works best, obviously. Now that I'm done making all my flowers, now I have to make the center of the flowers. So basically sunflowers. So I have these wooden circles, so I'm just going around. I put a little hot glue in the middle. I hold it down for a second, and then I just keep wrapping it. I put hot glue down, wrap it, hold it, hot glue down, wrap it, hold it. And again, my first one didn't come out too bad. I went way too big on the first one. And then after that, like I said, it always happens that way. Usually your first one's your tester, and then you go from there. So I just go all the way around, and obviously I have the later, I'm burning all like the fuzzies and any hanging rope, that's pieces of rope or whatever. And then once I was done to do that, you just glue it right to the center. See, I made it just a little too big. I could have made it a little bit smaller. Overall, for me messing up, like it's not the best first one, it was still good for even being not what I really wanted. So as you can see here, I already had these cardboard circles cut out. I think I did something at Christmas time, so I had a lot left over. So I ended up using that, which worked out good. And I kept reminding myself, don't go too far in, so I didn't mess up on the rest of these. So, and I also like propped it on the plate at first, figuring that it would help bring it up so I could see it a little bit more better, because sometimes my table's a little too dark, but it ended up working out. So as you can see, I did a lot more better here. Now I'm on my last center for the flower, and the same thing. Just put hot glue down and wrap the rope around and hold it for a couple seconds and just go around. See the one right there sitting on the table? That's my first one. See how big the center is? That's what I'm saying. I went way too big. But it's trial and error. You just don't know until you start how you want to make it. And then you'll see here as I made them a lot smaller. All right, so now I have this stand, as you can see, with all these glass bottles in it. I actually got this off of Facebook Marketplace for very cheap. And so I like to I decorate it every season. And so right now I'm just putting my Patriotic sunflowers inside. And I wanted to add something in the middle, like a little sign or something. So I had a Dollar Tree sign. I think it says because of home because of the brave. I think it does say that on there. So anyway, so I'm getting some of my dowels out, and I didn't want to just be plain dowels, so I covered them with these Patriotic straws as well. And I wanted to obviously glue it to the back of the sign, so it is a little thin, so that's the reason why I end up kind of making like an X kind of across it, just to give it any support, because it is a little top heavy, and the dowels I was using weren't that thick. So I was just trying to yes, I did extra. I probably didn't have to go this far, but I just did it just to be safe. And as I glue everything on and everything's secure, I will go back in and glue it and then I put tape on it as well, just to secure everything. I put glue down and then put the tape on too, so it's like double secured here. And then after that, I'll start dry brushing it as well, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, now that I'm done securing everything on the back, now I'm going in with my stamps. I pretty much have, it's like a brownish orange. Some projects it comes a little orange, and then some cases it comes more brown. I just think it depends on what you're like doing, your like dry brushing kind of on it and just stressing it. So I just distress everything pretty much, and then I put a patriotic bow underneath just to tie it all in together. I tested on the back to see if I want to obviously dry brush the bow too, and I liked it, so then I flipped it back over and then I did it on the front as well. And then I just placed that in the middle with the rest of the flowers I made, and now I'm adding in my actual red, white, and blue flowers. I already have white flowers in there, so I just add the red and blue. And I just alternate it. I like to try to at least do one each color on the front and then the same thing on the back, because you can see it from the back a little bit too. So I just like to cover all my bases. And then there you go. Everything's all done. All done. Video, I have these wooden flowers, as you can see, and wooden butterflies. I just took off the string. I got these all at the Dollar Tree. And now I'm putting putty in the holes where those strings, the rope was. I'm just placing on the front and the back. It dries pretty quick. And then once it's done drying, I'll sand it all nice and smooth. Now I have out napkins. So I have flag napkins, and then I have these like firework napkins. The only thing that's stinks about the firework napkins, when you open it up, I only had it on one square, and then it had like little fireworks in the corners of it. So you'll see me, as this video goes, I'll be cutting lots of pieces off of those napkins so I can get the butterfly and the flower completely filled with those fireworks. So now I'm going to start, I have all my wax paper down. This is great when you're painting because it doesn't stick to the table, it doesn't stick to the projects that you're doing. It's really nice. So I'm just covering everything with white paint. I didn't really want the wood to come through too much after I put the napkins over top of it. So I just gave everything one coat. Now that I'm done painting everything, now I'm going in with Mod Podge. So I was using scraps. That's the reason why you see like four actual flags. The next ones, I'll just open the napkin completely up and just use it for each. Either I'm going to do 2 flowers and 2 butterflies for the flags, and vice versa for the fireworks as well. So I'll do 2 flowers and I'll do 2 butterflies for the firework napkins. So I will put a coat of Mod Podge down, and you will see me have a spray bottle, and it just helps move that Mod Podge. It's nice sometimes to actually have it like watered down Mod Podge because it just smooths it out a lot better. And here, this is what I was talking about, how you'll see me using lots of scrap pieces of this napkin. Because it only was on one square of each napkin, and then it was just little pieces. So that's what you're going to see me here, just cutting up napkins, trying to get as much coverage. And the good thing, it helped too that I did paint these, so you really can't tell if there happens to be a little bit that I didn't cover. but it still came out really cute. I love the way it came out. So I give everything one coat of Mod Podge, spray it with water, put the napkin down, spray it and add a little bit of Mod Podge again. And I like to go around the edges as well. And then I will go back through and put another coat of Mod Podge on everything. And I let this completely dry overnight. Okay, after I put a Mod Podge on everything, it dried overnight. Now I'm taking it off. I'm taking everything off. Obviously, I even put tape on the back to help it from moving. That's where you saw the painter's tape from. So I have everything off. Now I'm just trimming everything around it, and then I'm going in with my sander and I'm just sanding it off. It gives it a nice clean edge, and sometimes just from the Mod Podge like leaking kind of underneath, it could still do that, especially with the wax paper, because it doesn't really stick to the wax paper. So I'll even like lay it flat, and I'll even sand the back as well if any little bit of glue got on the back there as well. So I just take my time and I sand everything. After I'm done doing that, now I'm going in and I want to distress it. I wanted to make it look more older. And at this time when I was doing this, I had no clue what else I was going to do with these. I came up with the idea because in my dining room I did butterflies and flower patriotic theme. So that's where this came from. And I love this idea, but I didn't know what to do yet after I was done distressing these. They sat on my craft table, no joke, for at least a week and a half. And that's just how DIYs work, and then it just hits you. So you'll see, obviously, because I put it in this video, what I end up coming up with next. But I just, as you can see, I just used my Waverly brown paint from Walmart, and using my dabber, and I'm just going in. I like dab it in the paint, dab it off, and then I'm just going in and giving it a nice distress. It's kind of like old-fashioned look. Okay, so this is what I ended up coming up with almost 2 weeks later. These bottles right here that I have in my hand right now are actually leftover bottles from my husband's salsa jars. So I obviously cleaned them out, and now I'm just taking all the sticky stuff from the label and everything off of it with Gook on. So I put the Gook on, and then I get it all over, let it sit for a second, and then I go with my scraper and scrape off all that glue and tape and everything from the label. So I do 4 of these, and then I do, for the butterflies, I do tall skinny bottles. Sometimes I'll keep certain bottles, like if we have parties or have a few drinks or whatever, I'll keep certain bottles up. I like the shape of them and stuff like that. So that's what I have in my craft room. So I do 4 of these sauce glass bottles, and then I do tall skinny glass bottles as well too for the butterflies. And then the bigger ones are for the wooden flowers. And I'll do the same thing. I'll go in with the Gook on, rub it all over, and then I'll go in and scrape it off with my scraper. Okay, so now that I'm done cleaning everything, getting all that Gook off, now I do got to go in and I have to sand on the glass. So the Mod Podge has something to stick to. I would do the same thing too if I was painting them as well too. But I wanted to rough them up a little bit, so like I said, so the Mod Podge has something to stick to, because I'm going to go in and Mod Podge these with the same type of napkins I use for the wooden flowers and the wooden butterflies. Okay, so now I have everything ready and set out to start Mod Podging the same type of color napkins that I did on the butterflies and the wooden flowers as well. So pretty much the same thing. I'm going in, I'm putting, after this was my first one. So I did end up wanting to do the bottom. So only on this one where I'll do the bottom after I did the side, because then I realized, maybe I should do that. So I do it now. But after this, I do that first, and then I wrap it. But you don't know until you start doing it. That's my motto with all my projects. Sometimes that first one is your trial and error. So, and then after that, I just put, sorry, I'm not completely in the frame. I was still learning. I'm still learning on getting everything in the frame the right way. But I just put Mod Podge down. As you can see, start the napkin, flip it over, put the Mod Podge on everything else, and then I wrap it, and then I just cover it with Mod Podge as well. And here and there, I might add, spray a little bit of water just to spread that Mod Podge around. And it really helps when you do that. And I give everything one coat. I just go in one time, and then you'll see me place it on over there. I have another wax piece of paper, and I let them dry. And they do dry overnight. Okay, now that everything's covered with all the napkins, now I'm going in and dry brushing it so it matches the wooden flowers and the wooden butterflies. Same thing, I just dab it. As you can see, I'll match it up to the wooden flower or butterfly to see if I might need to add more or less. And some of my wooden flowers and butterflies, I do go back in and just stress it a little bit more so it does match the bottle. But yeah, I only do one coat of this. Like I said, if you put too much, you can wipe it right off, especially while it's still wet. And I pretty much just only give it one coat because that's really all it need. Obviously, the white napkin, it spreads out a lot more better, and it showed up more darker than the flag does because it already has that red and blue in there. But I still love the way it came out. Now we're all done with the stressing, and now I'm measuring to see how tall the bottle is, so then it helps me know where to put. I'm putting super glue and hot glue, so I just want to make sure I have room for the super glue because that takes a while for it to dry, but not the hot glue. So I want to make sure, so when I go to stand it up, it's not going to tip forward or it's not going to fall backwards. So I just pretty much go back and forth and just measure just to double check to make sure I have it, and then I put super glue down and then hot glue down. And then I do put painter's tape around it just to secure it, just so it doesn't move while it's drying. one is pretty much the last one. All right, now I did decide this afterwards, as you can see. I kind of wish I thought of this before I glued them on, because it would have made it a lot more easier. But I just felt like it was too plain, and like, and I didn't want to take the napkin all the way up to the top. I think that would have looked a little bit, I don't know, I just didn't like it. So then I thought, okay, let's wrap it. Let me wrap it with the this is the thinner Dollar Tree rope. And I just obviously put a little hot glue, wrap it around. Sometimes I can get away with maybe wrapping it around a little bit more than once or twice and then gluing it. But it is a little bit harder on these type of narrow kind of bottles because they can move on you. So you do sometimes have to like wrap it, glue it, wrap it, glue it. So I do this to all the butterflies, and then I do a little bit to the sauce, I guess you want to say bottles too, but just the rim of that. I didn't put as much obviously as these ones. And if you're wondering how I did this holder for my my rope, I pretty much just made it. You can get the jar and the lid from Dollar Tree, and then I just screwed a hole in the top of the lid and feed it through, because my cats will play with it if I don't have this hidden. They'll think it's their toy. So that's why I had to come up with something. Yeah, see, I just do the rim. See, as you can see here, I just do the rim. I only go around a couple times. This one I could go around without gluing it every couple seconds, because it's a little bit more easier than it is on the bottle. Okay, so I made these antennas out of wire. I just used Dollar Tree wire, and in a way I kind of liked it because it's a little bit more flexible and it can bend a lot better. So obviously I just basically made it into a V shape, and then I curled it with a pencil at the top. And then here you have me, I'm gluing it down, and then I'm taking a little bit of extra rope and kind of tying it, like wrapping it, just to secure it a little bit more. Because I know it is technically kind of like wire metal and a bottle, but granted, yes, the rope is on there too. So I just figured just adding more rope and wrapping around and tying it just to secure it a little bit more, I figure is the best thing to do. Especially if my cats think that this is a toy as well too, because they will. So that's pretty much what I just do. I only do this obviously to just the butterflies, because that's what the butterflies need. And after I was done doing all that, I did make my DIY flowers too that are made out of lace. I did do a video on that already if you wanted to see it on my page as well, to show you how I made those. They're already in the bottles, as you can see. So I wanted to add a little bit more. So I was just seeing how many red flowers and blue flowers. So I would test it. I'd give one each. I was putting a red and a blue in each bottle to see what I like. And then I did think maybe it might need some white, off-white. So you'll see me play with all different ideas. The actual bottles, I think I did a little bit more than obviously the butterflies, because the butterflies are tall and skinny. You didn't want to put too much in there because it can overpower it. It didn't look right. So in the little bit more bigger bottles, I did add a little bit more. And you just play with it pretty much to see what you like. You know, you don't know until sometimes you just add it, take it away. But I end up doing, obviously you can see red, white, and blue, and then also the red, white, and blue flower I made myself as well. And then I wasn't sure if I wanted to wrap rope around the butterflies. I just let it be. I ended up liking it the way it came out. So I hope you liked this video. Thank you for watching.